I look a little bit different than I normally come to you guys. I recently started doing something that I do to help me with my depression, and that is to rewatch Gilmore Girls. And I feel like there's so much talk about Gilmore Girls already. I'm not gonna come on and talk about the show, but I decided to do something that I've always wanted to do. So I've watched Gilmore Girls since I was a kid. Since it was coming out, I was watching it weekly. I've watched the entire series multiple times throughout my life. And one of the things that this series is known for is its pop culture references, or also the movie references specifically. And something that I've always wanted to do is go through the series and watch all of the movies that the show talks about, and then talk about this on YouTube so that I'm not stuck at a 3-minute limit, because I'm already gonna hit it explaining this. So the first movie that I have to talk about is Rosemary's Baby. This is referenced in the first episode, season 1, episode 1. Rory says it when she meets Dean and she drops her things and she says,
God, you're like Ruth Gordon, just standing there with the tannis root. Make a noise.
Rosemary's Baby.
and he knows that it's from Rosemary's Baby. And I think that that is a perfect opening line for her to say to him, because it really sets the tone for who she is and who her mother is. So I love it. So we can talk about Rosemary's Baby. So Rosemary's Baby is a film from 1968. It is based on a book that I, to be honest, have not read. But it is about Rosemary and her husband Guy move to this beautiful apartment. Well, she makes it beautiful. She renovates it. She becomes pregnant, and after she becomes pregnant, she starts suspecting that the neighbors have some sinister intentions with helping her out through her pregnancy so much. This is starring Mia Farrow, John Cassavetes, and Ruth Gordon, like we hear Rory say. And Ruth Gordon actually won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress in this role. This is a movie that I have watched since I was in high school. I don't know how I came to find out about it. I'm sure it probably came from Gilmore Girls, because Gilmore Girls is one of the things that started my movie obsession. Because I was going through and watching movies that they were talking about, shows that they were talking about. Around that same time, I had also bought a book that was 101, that doesn't seem like a lot, 1001 movies to watch before you die. Either way, I was watching movies out of that. So I love this one. I love films from the 60s. I love the 60s aesthetic. I think it's beautiful. I think that their apartment was a beautiful backdrop to a really haunting and disturbing story. At the time that this came out, this is when Satanic Panic is really big. So I can only read and imagine, I was not there, but what people were feeling when they were seeing a movie about a woman getting raped by Satan and being pregnant with his baby. But also, throughout the film, we don't know. There is the scene of her having sex with Satan, but she's having such mental struggles also that we aren't sure, most of us, if what she's saying is real, if the neighbors are part of this, or if she's just losing her mind. And to be honest, that was never a way that I watched it. I never watched this thinking this could be her paranoia, and it's probably because I watched it in the early 2000s, so it was how old at that time? And so I knew the story. We all knew. We'd all seen the famous shot of her at the end rocking the cradle with the knife in her hand. So I didn't watch it as that, but trying to keep that in mind on a rewatch was really interesting. This movie is being released also at a time of like increased feminism, and we're seeing her throughout this film just lose autonomy and be gaslit by multiple men. Now, I always talk shit on men in my videos. Most of the time I'm joking, but this movie, watching it in this time in my life, I really hated Guy, her husband. And I used to watch this as like, oh, she's so sweet, and it's sad because she's naive and in love with her husband, thinking he would never do anything to hurt her. But watching it this time, there are little things that I picked up on that I was like, I fucking hate this man. They have a party after she had been pregnant for a while, and he tells, you know, one of the women, one of their friends is like congratulating them and saying, you know, what a great job. And he says, nothing to it. There was nothing to getting her pregnant. Well, of course not, because one, there's nothing to it for the man, and also you didn't even get her pregnant. And then like throughout this, he's acting like nothing. We get to the end and he acts like it was no big deal. Like he says like you weren't even hurt. And it's like, we watched this woman wither away for an hour straight, and you want to say that she didn't get hurt and like that it wasn't a big deal? I hated this man. And he's going on a list of like horror men, horror husbands that I just absolutely can't stand. This is also talked about as being a cursed film. That is not something that I believe in. I think that with a film like this coming out when it came out, and it having the, you know, being about the subject matter that it is about, people are gonna find reasons or find anything bad to bring it back to this movie. And I think that, you know, part of the conversation is the LaBianca Tate murders, because Roman Polanski is part of this film. And also Mia Farrow, having multiple children die in kind of traumatic ways. I think that I hate that those things are part of the conversation, because it feels like we shouldn't be discussing them as part of a curse. But if you do believe in cursed films, my friend Chrissy from Residue Podcast actually has a really good episode on the curse of Rosemary's Baby. So if you believe in that, or you want to hear a lot of good information, because I learned things as well, go listen to her episode from Residue. I guess my question to you about this film is this a perfect film? Because I don't have a list of perfect films, but it's one that comes to mind when we're talking about what makes a 5-star perfect beginning to end, everything's great film. It's in the discussion. Let me know what you think about it. I did watch this on DVD because I bought the DVD back when I was in high school, because I used to watch this a lot. So this probably seems random that I'm doing this little YouTube series talking about movies from Gilmore Girls, but it's two things that I love, and I can talk about these a little bit longer than 3 minutes because you guys know I have a lot to say about everything. So I'm gonna do this once a week. I'm gonna upload them to YouTube on Fridays, and I am just going to go through, probably in order because I also suffer from OCD, in order that they're referenced in the show. So if you want to continue this along with me, come back on Fridays. Let's make sure we're going to therapy, which is watching Gilmore Girls and or watching movies.